Welcome. This program will describe the components of a comprehensive injury prevention program and how to successfully implement the program in your workplace. We will discuss why injury prevention programs are so important, what types of programs can be included, and how to create successful programs. I think we can all agree, no one wants to get hurt on the job, and none of us want to see others get hurt either. Yet workplace injuries still occur, and the impact those injuries have can be exponential. This makes it that much more important to identify the employee injury exposures in the workplace and work to correct them. And if we look at the statistics, it's clear that work still needs to be done in this area. Half of all working Americans admit to having back pain, and back pain can affect people of all ages. Musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs, are the largest category of workplace injuries. MSDs are disorders that affect muscles, tendons, ligaments, nerves, discs, or even blood vessels. Examples include sprains, strains, tears, back disorders, carpal tunnel, and hernias. MSDs also have a high likelihood of re-injury. Slips, trips, and falls are the second most leading cause of workplace injuries, making up about 20% of all job-related injuries. While slips, trips, and falls are not a primary cause of workplace fatalities, they do represent the leading cause of lost workdays. Overall, in the United States, about 20,000 people die each year due to injuries caused by falls. Finally, workplace injuries are costly to employers with both direct and indirect costs. A comprehensive workplace injury prevention program tackles all of these previously discussed exposures. They include back injury and MSD prevention programs. Again, the most severe type of injuries are those to the back and other soft tissues. A comprehensive back injury and MSD prevention program outlines common risk factors and best practice techniques effective in reducing employee exposure to back and MSD injuries. Using information gathered through JSAs, ergonomic assessments, employee observations, near-miss reports, or past incidents, identify risk factors in the workplace that may lead to back injuries and MSDs. Each risk factor can then be addressed by applying a variety of control methods to reduce exposure and likelihood of injury. One control method not to overlook is that of proper pre-task warm-up and stretching. Your workplace may decide to develop a workplace stretching program as part of its back injury and MSD prevention program. IRMA has a few resources targeted to help members with back injury and MSD prevention programs. The first is the sample Back Injury and MSD Prevention Best Practice Guideline. This best practice resource provides risk factors and control methods, proper lifting handouts, a sample stretching guide, and an ergonomic assessment tool that can be used for non-office settings. Members are encouraged to modify this resource to fit their needs. The Back Injury and MSD Prevention Training Program can be a useful training tool to offer employees as well. This training program can be delivered by IRMA risk management staff either virtually or in person. The next type of injury prevention program to discuss is that of office ergonomics. Ergonomics is defined as an applied science concerned with designing and arranging things people use so that the people and things interact most efficiently and safely. In basic terms, ergonomics is how to fit the work to the worker. In other words, job tasks, workspace layout, and equipment are never one size fits all. Ergonomics can be applied in non-office settings, but can also be applied to office workstations. Injuries to office workers are still very common if ergonomic principles are overlooked. These injuries typically develop over time. A thorough ergonomics program uses information gathered through ergonomic assessments, employee observations, near-miss reports, or past incidents to identify risk factors in the workplace that may lead to ergonomic-related injuries and applies control methods to reduce exposure and likelihood of injury. IRMA has a resource targeted to help members with their office ergonomics programs. The Office Ergonomics Injury Prevention Best Practice Guideline provides members with ergonomic risk factors to the office worker, control methods to help reduce these exposures, a workstation ergonomics checklist, workstation diagrams, and sample stretches employees can do at their desks. Members are encouraged to modify this resource to fit their needs. Since slip, trip, and fall exposures and injuries are so prevalent, slip, trip, and fall prevention programs are a key component to your overall injury prevention program. Using information gathered through workers' compensation and general liability claim history, assessment of work areas, and industry best practices, identify risk factors in the workplace that may lead to slips, trips, or falls. Apply control methods to slip, trip, and fall exposures, which may include behavior-based safety approaches, PPE implementation, and/or equipment solutions. Again, IRMA has resources available to help members with their slip, trip, and fall prevention programs as well. The Slip, Trip, and Fall Prevention Best Practice Guideline is available to assist members with development of their own workplace program. It includes slip, trip, and fall risk factors and control methods that can be applied throughout the workplace and to member-owned property. Members are encouraged to modify this resource to fit their needs. IRMA's Slip, Trip, and Fall Prevention Recorded Training Program can be a useful training tool to offer to employees. This is a self-running training program that can be used for new employee safety orientations, annual all-staff trainings, or short in-services throughout the year. It is available on the IRMA website under the Training tab. Now for one last consideration. Your organization may provide your employees with opportunities for fitness and exercise, either on or off duty. In those cases, you will want to consider injury prevention when developing these programs. It is recommended to develop policy and procedures for the safe use of the fitness room and equipment, emergency response plans, along with parameters on acceptable activities to avoid injuries. IRMA has developed a resource to assist members with the development of these types of programs. The Employee Fitness Program Guide includes fitness room rules and regulations, acceptable activities, guidance on using job descriptions to develop your program, considerations for mandatory training programs, and sample forms and checklists. So, now that we've discussed each component of a comprehensive injury prevention program, we need to also talk about how best to implement them. Workplace injury prevention programs can present some challenges. Depending on the employee's past experiences or the current workplace safety culture, these challenges can be minimal or significant. Regardless, it is important for the employer to be aware of them prior to implementing these programs. Challenges in your organization should be identified as part of your process. Challenges may include lack of buy-in from employees. In order to guarantee program success, your employees need to buy into the program's purpose. If they don't understand the importance or see the need, your program is likely to fail. Lack of commitment, either from leadership or employees. Both are crucial to program success. You may get buy-in from employees, but if they see leadership or their coworkers not committed to the program, you are likely to lose people. Potential setbacks. Employee injuries that occur after an injury prevention program is implemented may be seen as setbacks. This will be the case if the employer fails to use these incidents as learning experiences, either follow safety accident investigation procedures or use the incidents as an opportunity for retraining, or even to review program goals. But if those steps are taken following an incident, the program can continue its success. Or burden of oversight. You may be thinking, oh no, yet another program to oversee, and we will address that as well. To assure you that you're not alone in this process, I'd first like to highlight the IRMA resource on this topic. The Injury Prevention Program Implementation Guide will provide details on what we are about to discuss in the next few slides. Again, these guides can be modified as needed by the member. The first recommendation for successful injury prevention programs is to assemble an injury prevention team. Workplace programs are more successful when overseen by specific people who are given the time and resources to succeed. The team can be comprised of safety committee members, supervisors, training managers, and frontline employees. The important key is to include all levels of employee and representation from all departments. By doing so, you gain commitment and buy-in at the same time. An employee will see that it's not just their supervisors or the department leadership making decisions and implementing objectives. The employee themselves and their peers have just as much say in the program's development as anyone else. You may wonder why this team should be developed separate from your regular safety committee. Ask yourself, does my safety committee have the time to dedicate separate attention to this large in scope program? Would I get the same buy-in from employees if the safety committee took the lead on this initiative? If the answer to either of these questions is no, I would urge you to seriously consider assembling a separate team to oversee your injury prevention programs. The team's main goals are to review available data to identify injury exposure areas and trends, take the lead in implementing control measures throughout the workplace, coordinate training for all staff, and continuously evaluate the program for improvements. It is very important that the team review all available data in order to determine program scope and goals. This will improve program success by targeting the areas in most need of support, but it will also show employees that the program has a strong purpose, is relevant to their operations, and means to improve workplace conditions. Make oversight more manageable by targeting solutions instead of trying to cast a wide net and hope for the best. Data to review in order to identify injury exposure areas may include claim history, near misses, employee behavior observations, facility inspection results, work area assessments, so actually getting out into the workplace and looking at what employees do on a regular basis is key to gathering information on where improvements can be made. And finally, don't forget about industry trends. Just because an incident hasn't happened at your organization doesn't mean the exposure doesn't exist. Use lessons learned by other similar organizations and industries to prevent incidents in your workplace. Use OSHA, National Safety Council, NIOSH, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, industry publications, and even IRMA membership data as guides. Once your data is reviewed, establish your program purpose and define goals. These steps will express commitment to the injury prevention efforts, set clear expectations, identify the scope of the program, assign responsibilities, and summarize the program goals. Define the goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The Injury Prevention Program Implementation Guide will provide a sample SMART goal worksheet with additional guidance on how to create effective goals. The goal development process is another critical piece to gaining employee buy-in. If employees see yet another workplace program that looks good on paper, but they don't see goals being developed that are relevant to their jobs or efforts made to achieve those goals, they won't be committed. SMART goals keep everyone on track and create measurable action items that help make improvements from year to year. This step also helps the injury prevention team manage the program. It creates clear expectations that can be revisited on a regular basis, and it assigns specific responsibilities so there's no confusion as to who is responsible for which goal. Once the team has gathered all the data and established purpose and scope, it can start implementing real solutions. Inventory lift assist and ergonomic equipment that already exists in the workplace. Are employees using it consistently and properly? Research new product solutions. Budget for additional items or improvements as needed. Review or establish policies and procedures for use of injury prevention equipment and processes. Finally, ask the people using the equipment for their input. The more input you ask for from employees, the more you will receive, and the more the employee will feel part of the program. Training is a critical component to any workplace safety program. Not only does it stress the importance of the program, but it also confirms employee commitment to and understanding of expectations. Departments should commit resources and time to employee training. Determine the who, what, when, and how. Ensuring that all employees are educated on program details at initial orientation and annually thereafter is best practice. Making this a regular item on the annual training agenda is another way to communicate commitment and gain employee buy-in. Consider refresher training before high-risk tasks or any time there is a reason to believe a failure in the system has occurred. This will reinforce the program's importance and avoid any potential setbacks if an injury does occur. And lastly, how will you deliver this type of training? Hands-on practice in the real environment is better than just reading through the policy. Can you make this training interactive and engaging, thus further increasing employee buy-in and participation? Finally, as with any other successful workplace program, continuously evaluate the program for areas for improvement. Discuss successes and challenges with employees. Gather feedback and make changes where needed. This can be done at regular department meetings or during brief behavior observation discussions. And reward those who provide valuable feedback. Establish the injury prevention program as a regular safety item for review. Evaluate all near-miss reports, JSA results, ergonomic assessments, incident reports, and behavior observations for opportunities to modify processes, procedures, or work methods. Consistently implement control methods when issues are identified. Measure your goal progress. Commit resources to ongoing training, solutions, incentives, and program improvement. Again, to assist with the development of your injury prevention program, the following resources are available on the IRMA website at irmarisk.org. Each will also include additional resources like sample assessment forms, worksheets, and training agendas. And as always, if you still need more assistance, do not hesitate to reach out to anyone in the Risk Management and Training Department.